Hey guys, it's Darwin, and today I'm going to be answering some questions about my upcoming southbound thru-hike of the CDT. Alright, so in case you didn't get the news, I'm about to take off on a southbound thru-hike of the Continental Divide Trail. I recently made a video kind of making that announcement and talking about some of the specifics on how I'm going to be sharing my hike here on YouTube. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, I'll leave it up here, but I decided before I take off onto the trail, I would do a last-minute Q&A answering a bunch of common questions that I've been getting about my hike. Now, all of the questions in today's video come from over on my Patreon page. A big thanks to my Patreon community for supporting me in all of my media and my hikes. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some questions. I may have missed it, but how long do you think it will take? So, Dean, I am planning on taking about 4.5 to 5 months. Originally, I was planning on doing it a little bit faster, but for this hike, I sort of want to take my time. I have a bunch of people that are coming out to do sections with me, plus in October, I'm gonna have to get off of the trail for about a week and head out to Virginia to be the keynote speaker at the ALDA gathering in Virginia. So I'm thinking about 4.5 to 5 months. I kind of want to finish sometime in the beginning of November. Since I'm starting in early July, that should put me at about 4.5 months.
Hi, Darwin. What are you looking forward to the most?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to a ton on this hike. Number one, I get to start in Glacier National Park. I've never been to Glacier, and I'm a big national park geek, and I've been kind of saving that park for this hike. I get to hike through Montana and Wyoming, which I've never done any long distance hiking through, and I get to be on the trail again for 4 to 5 months. I think it's been since 2018 that I've spent that long out on a hike. But I think the thing that I am the most excited about and looking forward to is reconnecting with old friends from the past 6 years. So if you watched my announcement video about my hike, my plan is to have a bunch of people that I've hiked with over the past 6 years come out and hike sections with me. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to just kind of reliving some memories that I've had over the past 6 years of long distance hiking. And yeah, I'm just excited about the whole trail. It's pretty wild. I honestly didn't think I would get this excited about the CDT, especially now, but for some reason, it just feels right. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about the whole hike. Which resupply strategy are you using? Post office or town or a combo? So I'm doing a combo. I'm sending myself 12 resupply boxes in that 3,000 miles. Mainly to places where it's going to be hard to get food or places where it is super expensive to get food. Aside from that, I'm just going to resupply in towns like I always do. It kind of took me quite a while to look through the trail and figure out the logistics of where I needed to send myself food, how much I needed to send myself. I mean, there is a 7-day resupply somewhere in Wyoming, so I definitely sent myself a box for that. It's a huge box full of a ton of food, but yeah, I'm going to be doing a combo of resupplying at post offices and sending it to random lodges and stuff, and just resupplying in towns at grocery stores or convenience stores.
Hey Darwin, I'm Feline from Germany, currently hiking through Sweden. And I'm about to enter the southern Kungsleden, one of my personal highlights. And so I was wondering, what are your personal highlights of the CDT? What trail parts, which sections are you looking forward to?
So some of the highlights that I'm really looking forward to on the CDT are, number one, like I said earlier, Glacier. I've wanted to hike through Glacier for years, and I've been saving it specifically for the CDT. I'm also really looking forward to seeing the winds. Everybody that I know that has ever hiked the CDT, whether it was a through hike or a section, talks so highly about the winds. So I cannot wait to get out there. And honestly, I'm also really excited about hiking through New Mexico. See, I have hiked almost all of the CDT in New Mexico while I was living in Albuquerque, so it'll be really cool to get to revisit all of that. Plus, I hiked all of that north, so this time I'm gonna be hiking all of it south, so I get to experience it in a different way. How do you train for a thru hike? Is it possible to get your body 100% adjusted before, or is that happening first weeks in the hike with a risk of injury? So how I've been training for this hike in particular is just like how I train for all my hikes. I get out and hike. I basically take my base weight, all of my gear, everything that I'll be starting with, plus I usually put in how much food that I'll be starting with. So in this instance, I'll be starting with 5 days of food. I load all of that down and I just go on hikes. Now, whether that is really long day hikes, like 8+ miles, or that's simply just walking around the block. I have a really cool bike path that's gravel that's really close to my place. So a lot of times I'll just throw my pack on at the end of the day before I eat dinner and I'll just go walking. I'll just go hiking to get my body adjusted to that. Aside from that, because I don't have the best knees, because whenever I went to do the Benton Mackay Trail at the beginning of this year, I got injured, I've been spending a lot of time focusing on strength training, doing a lot of stuff to help build up the muscles around my knees, my hips, my glutes, to get my legs in shape. Aside from that, it's really just been figuring out logistics, and it helps that I live at 7,000 feet above sea level, so I will be acclimated and be able to breathe whenever I get up further north to some of those higher elevations.
So everyone talks about a base weight of a pack, but what's your pack gonna look like weight-wise when you have, say, a recent resupply and a long water carry, so that we get an idea of what the overall range is gonna be? Thanks a lot.
So yeah, most of us talk about base weight because that's the weight that we keep throughout the entire hike. And then, the weight changes as you resupply and as you do certain water carries. So there might be a certain point to where I'm only carrying 3 days of food. And like I said earlier, there might be at some point I'm carrying 7 days of food. So that weight definitely fluctuates, but I can tell you that my starting weight right now is just over 20 pounds. So all the stuff that I've been training with, that 5 days of food, 1 liter of water, plus my starting base weight. Now that base weight is gonna change a little bit because I'm starting up north where there's some snow. So I do have some extra gear that I'll be trading out, but the weight that I'll be starting with is just over 20 pounds. What do you think are going to be the biggest challenges for this thru hike? The CDT seems like a totally different ball game than the AT or PCT. So the biggest challenge, I think, on the CDT is going to be logistics. So it's really getting in and out of certain parts of the trail before it gets too hot, too cold. Starting off on the trail, I'm going to need some snow gear. So I do have traction devices. I'm thinking about taking an ice axe. And then really once I get past Montana, I'm going to be getting into the desert. I'm going to be getting into the red deserts of Wyoming. So the logistics are going to change again. I'm going to have to worry about the water that I'm carrying. I'm going to have to worry about sun protection more and less about snow traction devices. And then, I want to make sure that I'm in and out of the San Juans in Colorado before, early winter starts, before October and all those snowstorms hit. And then I'll get into New Mexico, where I'll again have to worry about dehydration, water. So this trail is really all about logistics. The other thing is this trail is not one trail like the AT and the PCT, going from point A to point B. It's multiple different routes, and it's kind of a choose your own adventure. So that's the other logistics part of it, is figuring out, well, should I go this way or should I go that way? So overall, I think the most challenging part of this hike is going to be really thinking about what I need, when I need it, and where I need it. How do you think this hike will change you? Whew, that's a deep question. Every hike that I've ever done has changed me in a certain way. If you've listened to my podcast recently, you'll hear me talk about that a lot. The first episode, I really dive into what the PCT did for me and how it kind of set me down a certain path. So I honestly don't know how this hike is going to change me. I know of some things that are going to come from this hike that I can't share with you folks yet. I guess you'll have to just wait till the end to see what I mean by that. But I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm looking forward to it. Because every time I do a hike, I come out the other end a different person with a different perspective. And usually I'm passionate about something new, and I'm excited to see what the CDT gives me.
Hi Darwin, Jonathan here in the Peak District in the UK. My question for you is, if you could go back in time during your hiking or adventuring, bikepacking career, what advice would you give yourself?
Another really deep question. Honestly, I don't really know what advice I would give myself. I mean, I like that every time I go out and do a hike, it teaches me something new. You know, I have spent a lot of time on trail. I've used a lot of different gear. I've got a lot of experience over the last 6 years on the hikes that I've done, but every time I go out onto the trail, it's a new learning experience. And I discover something new about the gear that I'm using, or my personal abilities, or everything. So I don't really know what advice I would give myself. I might go back 6 years ago to the AT in 2015 and tell myself that, you know, to spend more time really listening to what the trail is trying to teach me. You know, that it's not just about me being out there, it's about other people, it's about the community, and just to stay more open. But again, you know, I think that's something that the AT taught me pretty quick, probably within the first 2 weeks that I was on the trail. So I don't know if I would personally give myself any advice. I would let the trail do that. Do you look to do a film on the CDT to promote the trail and the CDTC like you did the Arizona Trail? No, not really. So I'm currently working on a documentary film about public lands. That's enough of a film project. But I will be documenting my hike and sharing it here on YouTube. Again, if you guys didn't check that video out, where I kind of explained how I want to do this hike, how I want to do my videos, I'll leave that link up here. But no, I won't be doing a film. I'm basically going to use this hike and all the videos and media that I create as a journal, as a memoir. I have really enjoyed doing my podcast over the last handful of months. It's become therapy for me just to get stuff off my chest, to talk about deeper topics. And I find that when I'm out on trail and I talk to people, those are the things that we talk about. We don't talk about food, we don't talk about gear, we don't talk about miles. We talk about these deeper concepts. And I talk about things that I'm very passionate about. So that's kind of what I want to translate into the media and the videos that I'm making.
I'm out on a trail in Singapore. I hope you like the hat, by the way. I'm wondering, as you've got this big trail coming up, if there's a section of the trail that you're kind of most focused on, which you're thinking like that's going to be the biggest challenge, which section is that? Thanks, good luck.
So I don't know if there is a particular section that I'm really thinking about and I'm concerned about. I think it's more of what's going on in the West right now. We're going through a big time drought, so something like fires and lack of water is a big concern of mine. Luckily last year when I was on the Colorado Trail, I kind of got through all of that trail right before all of those big fires hit. But because I'm going to be going through there later in the season, that is one of my concerns. The other thing is what a lot of southbound hikers think about, and that is the San Juans in Colorado. So making sure you're kind of in and out of those high passes before the snow hits, right? Because I'm starting in July and I'm ending in November, I'll be passing through there. Sometimes winter can hit early in those sections. So I really want to make sure that I'm there and I'm out in New Mexico, back in the desert before the winter hits. All right, guys, last question of the Q&A, and this one is a doozy. I may be mistaken about this, but I feel like it wasn't too long ago when you said on one of your podcasts that you weren't really feeling doing the CDT and having the Triple Crown, something that so many thru-hikers go after. What's motivated you to do the trail now? I noticed that you've been very careful and probably intentional to not ever mention the Triple Crown, at least as far as I can remember since you announced this. Yeah, so number one, I never said that I wasn't feeling it or I didn't want to do it. I said that if I ever thru-hiked the CDT, I wanted it to be for the right reasons, and I wanted to make sure my heart was in it. To some people, that doesn't make any sense. Everybody hikes for different reasons. For me, it's always been about getting a particular thing out of a trail. When I went to go do the AT in 2015, it was about me and my wife connecting together, being a part of the community, and my heart was really in that. When I did the PCT, it was about challenging myself and pushing myself, and my heart was really in that. And for the CDT, you know, the only reason for a long time that I would have done it is to get the Triple Crown. And I'm not someone that cares about labels. I never have been. I raced triathlon for 8 years. I did multiple Ironman races, but I would never call myself an Ironman. I don't have an M.Dot Ironman tattoo on my body because, again, I'm just not concerned with the labels. I just never have been. It's just a personal thing, right? And when I was on the PCT in 2018, I had a lot of people contacting me. I wasn't even halfway through the trail saying, I can't wait to see you get your Triple Crown. I can't wait to see you go after it. I can't wait to see you thru-hike the CDT next year. And I wasn't even halfway done with the journey that I was on. And that made me feel very weird. It made me feel like a reality TV star, that I was only doing things so people could watch it and be entertained. And I knew that if I went to go hike the CDT, it wouldn't be for the right reasons. So I decided to take 2 years to do just completely different stuff, to get involved with other projects, to explore other trails, and be more passionate about something that wasn't just a label and wasn't for other people. Again, that probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people, and it doesn't really need to. No one else needs to get that. I need to get that. That's why my heart's in it, and that's why I'm finally going to do the CDT. All right, guys, that's it. That's all the questions that I have for this pre-hike CDT Q&A. A big thanks to all of my awesome patrons over in my Patreon community, #CheeseDickArmy. If you're not a part of Patreon, you want to join in, if that's your thing, I'll leave a link down below. If not, I don't want to make this like an ad. But a big thanks to all of them over there for supporting me and supplying me with all of these awesome questions. All right, guys, so next up is my gear list video, my full spread of everything that I'll be carrying on the CDT with my multiple base weights of the different, gear setups that I'll be using as I go down the trail. Really excited to finally get out there and hike and make some videos for you guys and do these journal style videos. I'm mainly excited for me, but I'm also excited to share that journey with you guys to hopefully inspire you to do the same. All right, if you found any value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.